there, my name is Linda Jo Martin, the Book Lady, and today is my Wednesday writing for January 10, 2018. Today I'm going to be talking about flash fiction, practice writing, writing by hand, and we're going to get into a little Kerouac idea later on in the video. But first, I wanted to tell you about the writing book that I ordered. I told you last week, I don't know if you watched that video, but I told you last week that I was getting a book that was very important to me because I've owned it before. I gave it away in 2013 because unfortunately I had to do a book purge before I moved away from Happy Camp and moved to Idaho. So I haven't had this book since 2013, but I really missed it after listening to some of the other booktubers talk about a go-to writing book, and I realized the only go-to writing book I've really ever had is this one particular book that I like very much. It's called, this is it, The Big Reveal, A Writer's Book of Days by Judy Reeves. I love this book. I think this is the second or third time I've bought a copy. It is a wonderful book about practice writing, and it gives prompts for every day of the year. Judy Reeves is a writing teacher, and she's put her heart and soul into this book to help other people learn how to write better. So the book is divided into 12 chapters, each chapter corresponding to a month of the year, and each month has a series of short essays in it about writing. There's a lot of writing information in this book. Plus at the bottom of the pages, you'll see prompts for each day of the year. So I'm going to be using this book this year while I'm doing my flash fiction and poetry writing. It'll be mostly flash fiction because I really prefer that. So I will be using the prompts in this book this year, and I will be also reading what she wrote in here. And so I wanted to read right now what she wrote about practice writing. This is from the introduction of the book. What is writing practice? Writing practice is showing up at the page. It's running the scales, executing the movements. It's writing for the experience of it, forming the words, capturing the images, filling the pages like an artist's sketchbook. A writer's notebook is filled with perspectives, character sketches, shadings, and tones. A writing workout is trying out phrases and auditioning words, letting the imagination have free rein, while the editor in your head takes a coffee break. One of the best things about writing practice is that it is practice. It is not supposed to be perfect. You're free to make mistakes, fool around, take risks. When you show up at the page and put in the time, day after day, you learn to trust your pen and the voice that emerges as your own. You name yourself writer. This is what happens by taking the time for writing practice. You are honoring yourself as a writer. When you write on a daily basis, your self-confidence increases. You learn what you want to write about and what matters to you as a writer. You explore your creative nooks and crannies and foray into some scary places that make your hand tremble and your heart beat faster. This is good. This is when you know that you are writing your truth, and that's the best writing anyone ever does. In writing practice, you poke around in your psyche, you grieve and heal and discover things about yourself you never knew, and this is the truth. Your writing really does get better. So this is my go-to writing book. It is my writing practice book. I just love this book. The author is awesome. And because I really admire her, I bought another book of hers at the same time. This is Wild Women, Wild Voices, Writing from Your Authentic Wildness. And I haven't read this book yet, but it sounded like something I really should read. So, writing by hand, that's another concept that she gives us, is that writing by hand connects us with the writing in a way that a computer keyboard really cannot do. And it slows down our writing process so that we have more time to think through what we are writing And so all of my writing this year for my flash fiction will be by hand. And so far, I have been doing better at producing videos this year than I have at writing short stories or flash fiction. Because I haven't missed a day this year in my videos, but I have only written, I think I've got 5 or 6 in here, 5 or 6 stories. And I really want to have a story every day, so I'm behind on my writing, but I'm not quitting. And I still want to be able to write enough flash fiction this year to be able to maybe publish an entire book full of it at the end of the year. So what I'm going to do is randomly draw a number corresponding to one of the stories that I wrote, and I'm going to read that story. So totally random. And I choose number 2. So now I have to find the second story in the book. Story number 2. This was written on January 2nd, 2018. It is less than 500 words. It is post-apocalyptic, and the prompt for this story was write about ashes. Kara leaned down to touch the surface of the earth. How I wish something would grow here, she said to no one. She walked away from the field down the long city sidewalk toward her home, kicking up little clouds of ashes along the way. Ever since the volcano, her life was blown to ashes. They surrounded her and everything else. It had been 8 months, and cars had died, choked with ashes. City streets were barren of transportation and even human population. Kara wasn't sure where all the people went. Did they travel south to find clear skies again? Or did they die like the cars died because the ashes filled the skies? She had stayed indoors. The television news told her the volcanic eruption was about to happen. The next morning, darkness. Tons of ashes filled the atmosphere. She stayed indoors. She had prepared for any disaster by collecting water in her empty jugs. She also had a pantry full of food and no reason to go outside when nobody at her workplace would even answer the phone. Her rent went unpaid, but the landlady never came by to complain. The water still ran, but the electricity and phone eventually died. The skies gradually became blue again, a little bit at a time over the course of many weeks, as the ashes settled to the ground. As her food started to run out, she decided to venture outside. She had run out of books to read and wanted to find more. Nothing grew in the fields. Even weeds were annihilated by a foot of ash dust. Walking through it kicked up the little black clouds, so she kept a scarf over her mouth and nose. She passed absolutely no one, not even a stray dog. Then she saw it under the outstretched awning of the hardware store. A tiny flower peeping through between the pavement cracks. Life, she said as she sat down beside it. This bit of sidewalk wasn't covered with the ashes. She realized the dirt beneath the pavement wasn't covered by ashes. Kara looked into the window of the hardware store. She could see pails, shovels, seeds, and a sledgehammer. There's plenty of ground for growing vegetables again, she told herself. I'm just going to have to uncover it now. Ashes clung to her clothes and hair, but they weren't going to ultimately kill her. So that's the end of that story. So looking back into my favorite writing book, I'm going to page 18, where she has included a page full of information left to us by Jack Kerouac, and it's pretty awesome. There's like 30 points of information that he thinks are things writers ought to know. So I thought I'd take one point each week and share it at the end of the video. This is Belief and Technique for Modern Prose, List of Essentials by Jack Kerouac, point number 1 out of 30. It is that scribbled secret notebooks and wild typewritten pages for your own joy. And just to comment on that a little bit, I would say that writing really should be done for your own joy. It's really important that you love writing. You shouldn't think that your writing is going to be incredibly popular and that everyone is going to want to buy it and that you're going to get rich, because it probably won't happen. But if you write just because you love writing and you're having a good time and you enjoy writing little stories or big stories or novels or whatever it is that you're going to write, just enjoy it. Enjoy every minute of it. If you're not enjoying it, why do it? It doesn't even make sense to do it if you're not enjoying it. So, yeah, writing is a hobby. Sometimes the hobby turns professional, but usually it doesn't. In any case, if you love writing, write. And if you are not a writer, try it. I believe everyone can write. I really do. I believe that all you have to do is open up the spigot and the writing comes out. Basically, the hardest part of writing is getting started, and that's what I commented in my first video, which I think was 2 weeks ago, my first writing video. So basically, get started, sit down, think of who you are going to write about. I always do a little who, what, when, where, why, and how at the beginning of my flash fiction. And then over on the side, I write location, time. I know those are already covered in the who, what, why, where, when, how, but I get a little extra information if I ask myself twice, and then I write down something about the main character or characters, and I write down something about conflict. Every good story needs a conflict. So if you haven't started writing yet, give it a try and just do it for the sheer joy of it. Have fun. This is a wonderful week to start writing. So that's it for me for my Writing Wednesday. Do hope you're having a lovely day and you have a great book to read. Talk to you later. Bye.